You are listening to Attractive Relationships, the podcast where we dive deep into the art and science of relationships and communication. I'm Rico Armstrong, your host and advocate for attractive, happy relationships. In a world where relationships play a crucial role in our personal and professional lives, understanding how to communicate to connect with others is essential. Transform your communication skills to increase your social status, your social confidence, and help you gain the best relationships you can have. Welcome to Attractive Relationships. So, does it bother you when it seems like people don't pay attention to something that you're saying? Maybe you're expressing a vulnerability, maybe you're trying to express something that you are very excited about, and people either are dismissive, maybe they cut you off, maybe they're apathetic in their response to something that is important or exciting to you. How does that make you feel? And if you're human, if you're a normal human being, for most of us, that feels that doesn't feel very good at all. And it might make us want to withdraw. And for some of us, or some people that you know, it could make some people be less vulnerable. Like they're less willing to share. We become more guarded if we have enough experiences where people are dismissive or cut us off. And and I know I've definitely felt that way myself. So what can we do to protect our emotions from being shamed or judged or dismissed? How do we protect our emotions without losing that want to and ability to still be vulnerable and interact with people? And that's what this episode is about. Now, I'm going to reference one exercise that would help with that, and then I'm going to share with you something that's very personal to me. Is kind of the a guideline that I use to decide how close do I want to get to people, how much do I really want to care. And the reason why I say that is because if we do share something and we don't quite get the response that we were hoping, one thing to consider is, have we overestimated or overvalued the relationship with the other person or persons? Have we given them too much power over our emotions to where their reaction affects us that much? And I do believe that there should be parameters and around how much power you're going to or influence you will allow another person to have over your emotions. Here's one of the exercises that Vanessa Van Edwards has suggested. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can see it here. I drew a shape of a circle, and inside that circle, I drew another circle. And inside that circle, I drew a third circle. So now there's like three circles within each other. On the outer side of that circle, the most outer part of the circle, that is a space for people that we don't like. People that we don't like. And if you can see on YouTube, if you're watching, that's the sad face. People we don't like. The people in our inner circle are people that we do like very much, and probably people that you could really, really trust. Now, here's the interesting thing about that is that Vanessa Van Edwards says that that circle is very small for a reason. There's not a whole lot of people, and that kind of coincides with something that Brene Brown also said, is that our inner circle is usually with people, it's a small group, maybe even five or less. I'm not saying we should put a number to it necessarily, but it's very small relative to the network of people that you know. So what is it in the middle rim of the circle? If the outer circle is people we don't like and we don't want to be close to, and the middle circle, that inner circle, is the ones we're closest to. The middle circle represents people that we are ambivalent to, meaning we could take them or leave them. Like, it's nice if they're there, not heartbroken if they're not there. They're the person that when you see their text message or if you get the phone call from them, or if you get the email from them, you look at it and you're like, do I really want to respond right now, if ever? Like, and the goal that Vanessa Van Edwards encourages is that these people that we're ambivalent about, people that we could take or leave, these are the most draining, toxic people in your life. They take the most energy because and the way she explains it is that everybody on this outer part of the circle, people that you know you don't like, you are not going to expend more energy than necessary. Like you are happy to do minimal energy only if you have to, and you're totally fine keeping them far away from you. So the energy level is minimal. And those in your inner circle, even though you might be expending more time and resources with the people in your inner circle, the energy that's exchanged is reciprocal. You feel energized when you're around those people. You feel like you gain more energy when you're with the people in your inner circle. And we're going to talk about how to determine what people should be in your inner circle versus which ones should not be, which is key for everybody else who's in that center circle. We need to decide, are we pushing them closer to our inner circle so we get that great energy, or do we need to push them out further to people that we don't focus on and give our energy to? Because that ambivalent circle, let me tell you, if you've got a lot of people in that circle that you're just like take it or leave it, you will spend so much energy in if you're trying to maintain those or entertain those relationships that it'll be harder to maintain those relationships that you really want. And so, how do we decide, the parameters for people to be in your inner circle? Now, this is how I do it. You can take this and adopt it in whichever way you think fits you. So the way that I decide is I first have a mindset of when I approach people or talk to people in public, or at my workplace, or just wherever I may be, where I have to engage and interact with people. The only expectations that I expect are the general universal laws of society. All right. Don't damage or steal my property. Don't be violent. um, and ideally, don't be rude by like name calling and yelling at somebody that you don't even know. Uh, that's really it. Outside of that, my general perspective is this: nobody owes me anything. You do not owe me your time, your money, your attention. It's not owed. And I also don't owe you or the general public anything either. It's a weird thing to say because even when we're at, let's say, at a workplace, uh, I take that same mentality. You don't have to give me your time. You don't have to give me your attention. And I make the argument that when we feel dismissed by somebody, or if they respond apathetically to us, there's a mentality that says, hey, I shared something vulnerable or exciting that was important to me to you. You owe it to me to respond in a way that makes me feel good about what I shared. And the reality is, they don't owe it to us. Hey guys, real quick, I'd love to connect with you beyond these episodes, which is why I'm excited to tell you that Attractive Relationships recently started an exclusive newsletter just for you. You'll get behind the scenes stories and additional exclusive content to aid in building your personal attractive relationships. So if you'd like to be kept in the loop, simply click the link in the description below the episode. Now, on the one hand, somebody could hear what was just said and be like, Rico, that doesn't make sense. I feel like that would just make me a miserable human being and not want to share anything at all. However, I would shift that perspective, if you can, to this. It's actually more freeing and allows you to practice more gratitude. Because now when I walk into any social situation, maybe I'm meeting people for the first time, or I'm meeting people that I see every day. When I walk into that situation, if they decide to share something that they feel is important, if they decide to share something that they are excited about or is very personal to them, because they didn't owe it to me, I now view that as a gift. And that mentality means that you can receive those kinds of gifts throughout your entire day. Because remember, their sharing and speaking to you was not owed. They didn't have to share those things with you. They could have kept quiet about them. And having that mentality means that when people share something with me, I can then decide how I want to respond to that. And even though they shared a gift, just like when you give somebody a gift, like you're giving that away, it's now theirs to do whatever they want to do with it. And so we can decide how big of a gift, how vulnerable do we want to be in this gift that we're sharing with that person? Maybe if it's somebody new, it's something reasonably inexpensive, right? Because then if they don't like it, our feelings are not going to be so hurt. And maybe if there's somebody in our inner circle, we give them more of the gift of deeper vulnerabilities because we know that when we give them that gift and we see the reaction that we feel happy about it and vice versa. That's that reciprocal energy where everybody feels more energized. But what if somebody takes your gift of vulnerability and doesn't respond in the way that energizes you back? Or maybe they don't exchange a gift and share their vulnerabilities. Maybe they're dismissive. Maybe you try to share that gift and they reject it. They cut you off before you can even really finish sharing your gift with them because of the mentality of they don't owe me their attention and I don't owe them. If they are dismissive or apathetic or cold, I just say that's okay. They didn't owe me their time and attention anyway. And now I know the boundary. The relationship that I have with that person at best is purely transactional. They are not in my inner circle, and that's okay. And so that's how I start to create those boundaries personally, starting with that mindset of I'm not owed anything and I'm not in debt to anybody when it comes to giving time or attention to them or them to me. But if one of us does decide as a gift to give our time and our attention and vulnerability, and it's received well, we can start to consider a relationship that is more than just transactional. Now, for me, for somebody to really be in my inner circle, matter of fact, this is what I would suggest. Going back to the example, I would, uh, in that example we have with the three circles, I would also draw a fourth circle personally. Okay. Again, that the very center circle are the people that are the ones that I trust with my life. The closest people to me, I'm the most vulnerable. And then the ones outside that circle are still people that I like. There's a synergy in the energy. These might be people that I work with, but necessarily aren't coming to my house for dinner. But I love working with these people. The energy that's there is remarkable and it's awesome. And then, of course, the outer circle is still people that I don't like. So that my inner circle is kind of like there's an inner circle within the inner circle, if that makes sense. And for those that are not the ones that I trust with my life, but are still part of my inner circle, those are going to be people that I might go to work with. And we have great chemistry. When we work together, we kind of get each other. We're on the same page. Like that's still reciprocal energy, but the relationship is still transactional. If I want the relationship to move from something that is transactional to something that is far deeper than that, the requirement I have is this: the relationship I have with you is more than benefiting me for the present moment or benefiting who I am today. The relationship I have with you, if it's deeper than something that's just transaction, means that you are able to support a future version of me, and you're happy to support that future version of me. And that's significant because there's no immediate payout for that. And if you are willing to support and put your time and attention and resources in encouraging that future version of me or my future goals that's far away, then that is the requirement that I require to be in my innermost circle. Think about parents and their children, for example. Parents, if they love their child, have a very much interest into their future, whether it's going off to college, finding a good job, or if they get married in the future, and however like their future selves is something that parents are very much involved in. Now, obviously, we're all adults. We're not trying to be each other's parents, but the principle of wanting to support your future, wanting to support my future, that is where my closest of closest friends live. These are the standards that I set, and it's very, very simple because I like to keep things simple. I don't have a long list of a lot of things. The minimum barrier of entry into any circle that matters to me is that if I give you a gift, you actually reciprocate and enjoy it. But also because you don't have to do that if you don't really care about the gift that I'm sharing with you, it's okay. You didn't owe me that anyway. So I'm only giving gifts to the level of which I'm willing to lose that gift. But if I'm going to give a greater gift of my vulnerabilities and my personal time and attention towards you, I'm expecting the same in return if we're going to be a part of that inner circle. I hope this all makes sense to you. And I encourage you, like, please reach out. If you are not watching this on YouTube, you saw the circles that I drew, it kind of makes a little bit more sense. But having that mindset of, I don't owe you anything, you don't owe me anything, and let's just see from there, it allows us to receive other people's gifts with gratitude. And it also allows us to, when we give gifts, that we are not severely affected or influenced emotionally by the other person's negative reactions. We just simply move on to the next person who can reciprocate the way that we would like. And for those that are in your ambivalent circle, the ones people in your life that you can take it or leave it, I would encourage you, like, write their names down on a piece of paper and really pay attention to how their energy makes you feel and make the decision. Do you want to draw them more into your inner circle because they do appreciate the gifts that you're giving them and the vulnerability and the time and attention? Or are they ambivalent towards you? And if that's the case, move them out of that circle because those people in your life are the ones taking the most energy from you. Keep your Move the relationships that help your future from transactional to something deeper in your inner circle, and let everybody else be where they are. I promise you'll be happier and you'll also be more confident in your social settings. As we come to the end of another episode of Attractive Relationships, I want to express my gratitude to you for tuning in. Your support really does mean the world to me. Now, if this episode brought you any value, I would truly appreciate it if you shared this podcast with anyone that you think could benefit from our discussions on effective communication and relationship building. Until next time, remember, great relationships start with great communication. So stay curious, stay compassionate, and keep building those attractive relationships.